He's not the kind of politician that I would typically support, but he does appear to be incredibly principled when it comes to the issue of foreign aid to various countries, including Israel. And he consistently voted against offering Israel more military aid during this current war. And that led to a lot of attacks against him, but he persisted. And again, I give him credit for that.
Yesterday, we did a video of Ben Shapiro panicking because of what Thomas Massie said over on Tucker Carlson's podcast and the stuff that Tucker Carlson was saying as well. Now we have Ana Kasparian responding to this whole thing, destroying Ben Shapiro and taking the side of Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie. But Ana Kasparian brings up some very, very interesting points as well. And I always find these videos very interesting because now we're in a situation where me and a lot of you watching this, I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree with me that watch this, of course, but a lot of you watching this agree with Tucker Carlson, agree with Thomas Massie, and now you're kind of forced to agreeing with Ana Kasparian and a lot of leftists out there. Like, you're gonna happen to align with people like Hassan and Cenk Uygur, you know, everybody from the Young Turks, Emma Vigeland, and all these people, Sam Cedar. I would assume, I don't actually know his stance on the whole thing, but I would assume he's also on this side, unless he's one of Ben Shapiro's favorite people. I'm not sure, but all these leftists are now aligning with a lot of people who are on the right, such as, I mean, I guess I land definitely right-leaning on most things. A lot of you guys probably do as well. And now we just happen to line up with people like Ana Kasparian. It's a very interesting situation. Let's get into what Ana Kasparian thinks of what Thomas Massie said, exposing the truth over on Tucker Carlson's podcast.
Representative Thomas Massie, who's been the only Republican willing to speak out against Israel, who's been the only Republican who has consistently voted against sending more military aid to Israel, had a sit-down interview with Tucker Carlson. And it was kind of amazing.
I'm not against Israel. I've never voted to sanction Israel. I've never said anything.
By the way, I am not either. You know, I know, like, and when I say that, a lot of people, there's this like extreme hatred for Ben Shapiro's favorite people now. And I don't think that's fair. You know, yes, Ben Shapiro's favorite country's intelligence may have done a lot of things, meddled with certain things in the US, maybe possibly taken out a former US president, maybe possibly hit a couple of towers a few years ago with planes. But I don't think that's grounds to like hate all of Ben Shapiro's favorite people, if you know what I'm saying. You know, I don't think that's fair. I think that would be like hating all Americans because of a couple of things that the CIA did. Yeah, obviously I'm against funding Ben Shapiro's favorite country. I think we should pull all funding because I think it's just ridiculous. And you know all the reasons why. I don't have to say them again. It's ridiculous that we're funding that country still. But I don't hate all the I don't hate all the citizens of that country. I think that's kind of moronic to do, you know. People like Ben Shapiro, you can make an argument for because he's one of the people that's actively warmongering and trying to get us to send more money over there and spark more war and more death. And I think that's sick. That's evil. But if you're just a citizen of the country, like most Americans are not saying, yeah, CIA, go experiment on more humans and go do more Operation Northwoods and stuff like that. Like most American citizens aren't doing that. In fact, I don't know of any that are saying stuff like that. So it's not right to hate all Americans just because the CIA has done bad stuff. Same thing goes for the intelligence of Ben Shapiro's favorite country. And I just think there's a lot of general hatred for those people. And I don't think it's right. You know, I am standing on my moral high ground now. I do not think hating people that are innocent is correct. Now, give me my crown for being top white knight of YouTube.
Particularly, you know, critical of Israel, other than, for instance, right now they've killed 1% of the civilian population in Gaza. That's concerning to me. I vote my conscience, which they won't tolerate. So they ran with their 501c4 before they had a super PAC. They were running educational advocacy ads against me saying that, you know, I'm bad on Israel. This election cycle, they spent $400,000 against me, $90,000 last fall running TV ads in my district and Facebook ads and whatnot.
They've called you a bigot and they call you an anti-Semite and say you're a hater and try to destroy your character.
During a recent sit-down interview between Tucker Carlson and Kentucky's Libertarian Congressman Thomas Massie, we learned quite a bit about how AIPAC, the lobby that basically represents Israel, how much sway they have over Republican politicians in particular. Now, Thomas Massie experienced quite a bit firsthand, and I think the insight that he provided in the context of this interview was worthy of a listen, and honestly something that I give him props for, even as a member of the Republican Party.
This is what I'm saying. This is very interesting how any other situation, I guarantee you, Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur and all these leftists absolutely hate Thomas Massie. I don't know that for a fact. I don't actually keep up with their opinions on representatives and stuff like that. I don't know. I would assume every other situation, every other, argument or position that Thomas Massie takes, Ana Kasparian is going to absolutely disagree with him. But now it's just in this weird position where the left and some portion of the right is just hardcore agreeing with each other, and it's really interesting to see. I really hope I didn't pre-watch this. Like I said, I always just get somebody who I trust to send me these videos, and then I react to them, and if they make a good video, I post them. I hope Ana Kasparian plays the more interesting part of this interview with Thomas Massie and Tucker Carlson, because Thomas Massie says something that is huge later on in the interview, and she hasn't played it yet. So I'm really hoping that she plays it here in a second, and I really want to see Ana Kasparian's reaction to the other things that Thomas Massie said to Tucker Carlson.
Who has a bunch of stances I totally disagree with. He's against reproductive rights for women. He's not the kind of politician that I would typically support, but he does appear to be incredibly principled when it comes to the issue of foreign aid to various countries, including Israel. And he consistently voted against offering Israel more military aid during this current war. And that led to a lot of attacks against him, but he persisted. And again, I give him credit for that. During this interview, he even went so far as to say that every Republican lawmaker has an AIPAC babysitter, which you definitely want to stick around for. We're going to get to that clip in just a moment.
That's the good part. That's the juicy part of this whole thing. It is very, very juicy.
But first, let's actually start at the beginning with what Massie experienced as he was running for Congress. Massie says that his first run with AIPAC was in 2012. Since Massie was unwilling to play ball with AIPAC, they did retaliate. So let's just hear some details about that.
How did they respond to that?
Well, they kind of got in my race a little too late there in the beginning, and because it was hard to tell that I was actually going to win. And when they saw I was going to win, that's when they tried to get me to do the term paper. They didn't have a political action committee at the time. They couldn't spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars against me at that time. It was just sort of like a whisper campaign to try to, hey, don't vote for him, blah, blah, blah.
That's why.
Because at that
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
point, they sensed I wouldn't do what they wanted when I got
But what
to
did they
Congress.
whisper against you? What were they saying about you?
Well, they would do it through, for instance, churches, evangelical churches. They've got an organization called Christians United for Israel, where they sort of co-opted evangelicals. People think it's a grassroots movement in Kentucky. It's actually a top-down movement from AIPAC, so that people who aren't even Jewish will feel like they've got to support Israel, no matter what.
I thought that comment was really important because it gives you an inside look into the tactics that AIPAC deploys. They're obviously well-funded, well-organized. They've got a ton of people, especially if they can have a babysitter available for every Republican lawmaker, which we'll get to in a moment. But it just kind of gives you that sneak peek, that inside look into the inner workings of these relationships that lobbyists forge with our elected lawmakers, and how, they'll use carrots. The carrots come in the form of cold hard cash for their campaigns, but they also use sticks, including showing up to evangelical churches to propagandize the parishioners.
But they also use fear. Like that's what a lot of people don't realize is, you have to kind of watch what you say on these topics, but they 100% use fear. And I don't think they're sitting there saying, oh, if you don't hold this opinion, if you don't vote for this, then we're going to kidnap your children. Like, I don't think they're saying anything like that. I think it's more just like, if you don't do this, then we're not going to endorse you to get reelected. And I don't think, well, I have to say I think, but you guys know that's happening. And Ben Shapiro reacted to this whole thing with Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie. And he was basically saying, oh, it's not a handler because nowhere did Thomas Massie say that they were paying money to their person that they're babysitting, to the person that they're partnered up with. It's like, okay, maybe it's not technically a handler, but who really cares? It's about what happens, what's the effect of the babysitter, of the handler, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And it doesn't have to be that there is money explicitly exchanged. I don't care if there's money or not, because if there's a certain, and let's just not use names here, if there's a certain organization and 99% of the candidates, or 95%, whatever it is, of the candidates they endorse win their elections, obviously you want the support of that organization, whatever organization that might be. It could be, whatever. It could be the NBA. It could be the Boys and Girls Club. Who knows what we're talking about here, right? Who knows? Nobody knows. Just a hypothetical. If 95% of their candidates win their elections, of course you want to be endorsed by those people, and you definitely don't want to get on their bad side like Thomas Massie has. And that, and of course they don't have to say, hey, here's $1 million to say this. You could just say, hey, if you don't say this, if you don't vote for this, if you don't support this, you're not going to get endorsed by us, and you have a 95% chance of losing your next election because we're going to endorse someone else, and we always win. So it doesn't have to necessarily be, they're lobbied with money or, handled like Ben Shapiro is so obsessed with the label that we're putting on things. The label doesn't matter. It's about what happens. It's about the effect of it, and it doesn't have to be money exchanged. It could be fear.
There. That is insane. And I just want you all to the AIPAC babysitters that each congressional Republican has.
Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has someone like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them. So I've had
that's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, "I'll talk to my AIPAC person," and it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
So the AIPAC babysitter can, jump in and help you out if you need help with your congressional campaign, whether it be with funding or with the types of ads that are airing. And in this case, Massie was offered help by other lawmakers who had AIPAC babysitters. This whole notion that they might be able to jump in and help, lessen the blow of some of the terrible ads that AIPAC was putting out against Thomas Massie. But how embarrassing is it to have an AIPAC babysitter? I mean, that's a great way of putting it. I'm glad that he used that terminology. These are elected lawmakers who are supposed to serve the best interests of the American people, of the constituents within their districts.
But they're not. They're all sold out. Whether that's on the left or the right. Seems like the right is mostly sold out to AIPAC. It seems like the left is mostly sold out to China or other foreign entities as well. Everybody's sold out, man. And these are the kinds of things, when Thomas Massie comes out, yes, it's great that he's willing to stand up to this and call it out. It's awesome and all, but everybody else is sold out to adversaries even. Not just foreign entities, but a lot of them are sold out to adversaries like China. So it kind of just black pills you a little bit. It's like, is there really much that can be done when all of our lawmakers are completely sold out to other countries that don't have our best interest at mind? They have the other country's best interest in their, at the forefront. And it just black pills you. It's like, well, are things ever going to get better? Because these other countries, they don't care about us. In fact, a lot of them have a great interest in us and seeing our downfall. So they're just going to make laws that, further push forward the downfall of America. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about Ana Kasparian's reaction to that Thomas Massie clip with Tucker Carlson. I thought it was great. It absolutely destroyed a lot of Ben Shapiro's arguments that we have an actual congressman coming out and saying to Tucker Carlson, yeah, Ben Shapiro is wrong. Everybody has an AIPAC handler. These things are actually happening. But at the same time, it's, it's cool. We get to prove Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire wrong, but it's sad, black pilling at the same time. It's like all our lawmakers or all our government officials are just completely sold out. Let me know in the comments what you think about Ana Kasparian reacting to Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie here.